Hey, all right. What's going on, everybody? We are back with Focus on You with Phil and Oscar. And today we got a guest on the line that you want to hear because all of us need to know more about our credit. And this guy is an expert. He's a part of our pnbg group. Welcome, Eric, to our platform.
Thank you for having me, my friends. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
He's a credit to our team.
Nice one, Oscar.
I haven't heard that.
I gotta hydrate some more. Sorry.
That's a good one, Oscar. I like that.
I like that. Yeah.
We're a credit to your team. I'm going to brand that. That's nice. Write that down so I don't forget it.
So yeah, we are here today to learn a little bit more about what Eric does. Of course, everybody knows Oscar Capel, Legal Shield guy, and of course, you need anything done along the lines of securing your identity online. That's your guy. Okay, look at him good because he can help you secure yourself online, and you really want to get into that. But we're going to focus because he thinks focus on you is about focusing on him. So I have to kind of give him like 5 second spot on what he does. So yeah, but Eric, it's great to have you on, man. I'm sure the folks are going to wonder, who you are and what you do. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Cool. So like you said, name Eric Steurken. I've been doing this crazy credit for your team or credit for you for 16 years now. We founded the company back in 2005. So it's been a wild ride through some of these financial times in the housing market. Most all of our business comes from B2B people, so mortgage companies, banks, real estate companies. So anytime the housing market gets kind of crazy, things get crazy with us. Plus, COVID last year was a big, big spur on a lot of people with not having additional income to pay certain bills. So things have happened. Mm-hmm. I think you guys saw today, they're going to cut back on the rentals till July. You have to start making your payments again. So that's going to be, hopefully people either have that, $300 extra, or they have a job where they, can get back on their feet. COVID was difficult for a lot of people, and that's now ending. But I think, landlords and some of the, people out there that own homes too have been struggling. So hopefully this gets back to, back to what they do, own homes and rent.
Right. Absolutely. And I'm sure, what are some of the things that you faced over that time though, when it comes to people trying to maintain their credit and, things of that nature?
Yep. So, if you remember back in, I believe it was April of last year, there was a couple different memorandums, moratoriums, big word, that came out and said there's going to be some forbearance and also deferments. Mm-hmm. Mortgage payments. So you weren't going to be marked late if you didn't make a payment. You had a certain amount of time. That's over, and it was over. I think it lasted for about 5 or 6 months. Some banks were longer. But what ended up happening, there was a lot of coding issues when it came to the banks and some of the mortgage companies reporting, mortgage payments late, or just different codes that showed up as a late payment for people. So to get that fixed was, it wasn't as difficult because there was admission of guilt, or they said that, they made a mistake, so things were fixed. But a lot of times people, they don't have extra income, or they're not working. they struggle on making payments. And a tip right off the bat that I'll tell you, if you can't make a payment, what's the first kind of payment you're not going to make? Or not that you shouldn't make, but if you have a choice to not make a payment because you're tight on money, it's most likely going to be what? Something that doesn't affect your credit. Those are the ones you want to do. So which ones don't? Most of the time it's your utilities, your cable, your cell phone, those types of bills. Typically they'll give you a month or two, maybe even 3 before they shut off the service. So, and they don't report. They'll only report if you go into collection, or they'll go into, like a charge off status. And that's way, way, way out. So you can always catch back up. A credit card is a revolving credit. Typically, revolving means what? It revolves based on what the principal is.
Right.
So if it's a $5,000 card that you have and you owe $2,000, you're paying on that $2,000. As you pay it down, revolving was going to be smaller. So depending on your balance, that will be what your payment is. That's revolving debt, right? So you also have installment debt. So there's really 2 types of debt. And installment debt is straight fixed number, right? It's like a mortgage, like a car payment, like a student loan. And those are much more valuable in the end for your credit score. But if you miss one of those payments, it hurts you a lot more than a revolving. So going back to having to miss a payment, again, do the ones that don't affect your credit score. Try not to miss an installment loan. If you're going to have to miss one, do a revolving debt. So tip 1 of the day so far.
Oh, nice.
That's what we ran into. A lot of that. We'll end up seeing what happens in the next, few months, because I think them pulling back on the 300 extra is bound to happen. Some states are doing it now. I don't stay up on top of every state, but at some point the federal government's going to have to say, we can't keep doing this, especially with unemployment so high. So people are choosing to do what they want to do, work or not work, and live on what they have coming in. But again, if you don't have a job and there's no more $300, then you might get stuck not being able to pay some bills. And that's what happened.
True. That's true. I mean, I can bet there are a few people that just try to transform themselves over this period of time. That's been big in the news as well, where they were even looking for truck drivers because they furloughed them, and then now that things are opening up, those guys have found other jobs, or other things they're going to do.
Yeah. Also, a lot of people that were furloughed found out they're making more on unemployment with the stimulus and unemployment than they would be working. So there are places that can't find employees simply because they're just making more than they would if they actually worked. Mm-hmm. So there's a supply chain breakdown going on right now.
So yeah, I love that you pointed out, kind of like how we should kind of maneuver to maintain our credit in that time. But tell us about the credit repair business. How did you get involved in that? And, what are some of the factors we need to think about?
Yep. So back in the day in 2005 or 2004, 2005-ish, I think we founded it in February 2005, but we probably talked about it in 2004. I was doing a bunch of internet stuff with leads. A buddy of mine was a mortgage guy. And he just started complaining about not having enough, clients with good credit. The stuff that he had was bad credit and he couldn't get deals for them. And we laughed and, said, hey, we should look into credit repair, and didn't do anything with it. And one day he came back and said, I ran into a credit repair company on the street in the town of Red Bank. We said, all right, well, let's, the internet wasn't as big as it is now where you could Google everything and find everything you could do. So we had a place that was doing credit repair. We ended up speaking to the manager. We wanted to give them files. And in the end of the day, we gave them files, and we heard that, I would say files, but clients, right? File, client, same kind of thing. Clients would call back and say, hey, that place you sent this to never called back. And we're like, okay. I'd call over there and spoke to the manager. The manager would say, we're too busy. We're doing radio ads, and we're getting a bunch of people in, and all's good, but I'll get to yours. And I said, bro, these are clients. This isn't like a radio ad. I guess it's a good thing to be that crazy for business, but at least call them back. So whatever, that manager called us outside of work and said, hey, I want to meet with you guys and go over what we can do and what we can't do. anyway, we ended up, joining a venture. From there, we learned the business. And, from there, my partner, Paul, has been on TV, radio, a bunch of, I got to say in the hundreds of times, by different, TV stations, ABC, Fox, all of them. And it's been a great run. But from that point, we always had it that we would always take care of, have to go after the general public. I'd rather have 2 clients that I can make happy that refer business. And, referral businesses for me, and for, I think, anybody that has that type of business knows, all you have to do is do a great job, get back to people, keep both parties informed, and that's it. And the business, you get somebody else when they find another person, and you can just build it slowly across the country. And that's what we did. And we've had a, pretty good 16-year run. On the credit repair side, I say to everybody, I'm a 7-time client. At least my family is. I don't want to say my wife is, because she might, hear this interview and say, I told you not to say anything, but it really is her. So if you are listening, honey, I still love you. It's okay. I tell everybody that because, some husbands, wives, boyfriend, girlfriends get upset with each other that somebody did this to their credit. And I just say, listen, I'm 7-timer. So unless you're in this game 7 times, then I could see get angry. I don't get angry anymore. I actually look at it like another test to make sure we're doing a great job over here. So, it's been about 2 years, so she's due, or maybe I'll just throw a bill out and then, tell her that she went late, but that it keeps us on our toes, and it gives me good stuff to talk about. But anyway, so 7-year, I tell everybody, everything good or bad can be on a report, and it's up to the bureaus. It's up to the creditor to report everything to a T. There's certain things that they don't do perfectly. And if they don't do them perfectly, then we'll figure it out, and they have to do certain things that we ask. And that's the mind and model behind it. We're not saying, oh, I was never late. That's not what we say. We're not making up a story. It's okay. Well, if this, then that, and if this, then that. And sometimes it's a first round knockout, which is usually, excuse me, my nose is itchy, is a 30-day law they have to respond by. But sometimes, like a boxing match or a UFC fight, it can take longer. One of the times that I was working on ours, we had a car late that was 60 days late, took 13 months to get it cleared up. But like I said earlier, an installment loan is a car, right? So that one hit. That was a 60 or 70 point move. And on the flip side, when we got it removed, the score went already back up. So, again, I tell everybody the same thing. You don't know how long it's going to take until you start. Because typically, as you say, I'm going to start next month. It's just 30 days from the time you start. So if you need something done pretty quickly, you got to start today, immediately. That's it.
So one of the things, I believe one of the things that you do is, if there's something on my credit report that is bad, do you set up a thing like, all right, you have to prove that this is bad? Is that one of the things you guys do? Like set up?
That's the first. That's the first one. A lot of the stuff the creditor has to prove it, and so does the bureau. Not just by electronic mechanisms as they do it now. Law states it's got to be done in certain physical copy, and a lot of times that physical copy isn't either. It's just too much work to do it, and they don't. Sometimes, especially since most of the processes are done outside the United States, which is crazy. Think about that. There's 4 trillion trade lines that get reviewed in a year. Trillion, not just, a million, which is a big number. A billion is a big number. And a trillion is like, oh my God. Number. Although I think our budget's going to be something in the trillions this year, right?
So you put the burden of proof on the creditor.
Correct.
Okay.
Nice. That's the reason why we need to get the professionals. Oscar says that all the time, but that has been forever true. When you have somebody in your corner that knows what they're doing, it sure, beats you beating your head against the wall, trying to figure out what these guys have figured out with their years of experience. So, of course, Eric's information is in the description below. So don't be afraid to give him a call. Don't call him now. He's on the show. But, call him after.
Text me. I'm a big texter, boy. I can do 5 things at once with a text. I can only be on the phone with one person. So text is quick and answer. Most of the time, especially, I tell everybody, listen, get me a report. I'll see what I can do real quick. I don't need to hear your story. I don't need to hem and haw about everything until I get a report. Would you ever walk into a doctor's office and say, yeah, it hurts right here? And he says, oh, immediately we got to get an x-ray. And you go, nah, let's talk about it more. Right? Same thing. There's, time is valuable. I try to make it so that we're, way affordable. And the ability to do that is, not time wasted. So get me a report. I'll tell you what we did. We've done this for 16 years. So the credibility and the TV and the radio show and, all that other stuff makes it so that, this is what we do.
Yeah, I always say there's two costs involved. The fixed cost of what it costs for someone's service and the unknown cost of what it's going to take to backtrack when you're not a professional and then fix everything and then still call in a professional because now it's worse than it was before.
Yeah, that's it.
Call the professional from the beginning, get it done.
Yep.
That's my philosophy always.
So yeah, you know what? I'm going to talk a little bit more now about your business credit experience because, it wasn't the first time I heard about business credit, but I know that there are a lot of people out there that have no clue, especially if they have their own business, that they have such a thing as business credit. So first, just explain what that is.
Okay. So business credit, like personal credit, is based on not a social security number like on personal. It's based on a tax ID, right? So you have your tax ID when you get incorporated. That tax ID is like a, regular social security number, FICO score, let's call it. You have a D&B score, you have an Experian business credit score. It doesn't go from 350 to 850 like a personal credit score. It goes from 0 to 100. And again, this isn't, it's easier to build the business credit score, right, than it is to fix it. On the personal side, there's certain laws. On the business credit side, there's not so many laws to help you fix it, but there's many other ways to build it with the companies that make it much easier than to build it on a personal side. It's really something that most people don't know anything about. If I ask a question to most businesses when I meet them, I say, I introduce, and then I'll ask the simple question of how many cars do you have on your tax ID? And most, entrepreneurs, I know a ton of them. That's my, I got tons and tons of friends in that industry of, just being self-employed that all have tax IDs, right? And that question, when I ask it, there's rarely out of 20, there might be 1 or 2 people that know anything about business credit. I ask accountants the same thing, and accountants will do the same. What are you talking about? So, and it's been around for a while. It's
right.
Not like it's, I've been doing it. I did my own about, I say 10, but it's probably 11 or 12 at this point. We've been around 16, so maybe about 10 years. I got an email about business credit. I'm like, what is this stuff? So of course I called the company, signed up for the program, learned a couple of different other programs while I was doing their program, and said, wow, I'm going to do this for a couple of my friends. And that's how it started. I called a couple of my friends that were, regular business owners, and I just, dude, you got cars, you got trucks. What do you do for your, your business? I know you cut down trees. You got a truck? Yeah. Oh, I had to put my personal, it's on my personal stuff, and I started building it. Next thing I knew, now there was a nice market for it within the realtor community. Broker owners that own real estate offices, they're independent, right? So we started doing that for the real estate community. And then it's just, 10 years later, I still ask the same question to people when I meet them, and they still look at me like I have 2 heads. Huh? Or they'll say, no, I have, or they'll say, I have credit cards in my business's name. And I was, okay, that's great. Did you personally guarantee that? And 99.9% of the people say, yep, they did. Or wow. They got an Amex card. Amex card is great. It's cool. And I don't mean it's a bad thing. It's a great card to have. It separates your expenses. Maybe you just use that for your business, for your write-offs, but it doesn't report. So now it doesn't really build your business credit. So,
so
I say to everybody the same way I just did on the personal side.
You need a good business credit, like a good person.
Cut me off, it sounded like, but either way, correct. And you need to look at the report. Is my connection okay? Mine says
Yeah, I
report.
think you're freezing up a little bit. You're freezing
I'm
up.
going to plug in. I'm on wireless, but let me plug in. Let's just see what happens. I had an issue today with one of my things.
But yeah, go ahead, Oscar. You had a question or comment.
No, I was saying that people don't know to build their business credit the same way that everybody's looking at, oh, my personal credit, it's this score, it's that score. But you have a business, you need to expand, you need to buy equipment, you need to lease equipment. They're not looking at your personal credit score, they're looking at your business credit score. What's the risk to the lender? And if you don't build up a good credit score, is it called a credit score in business, or is it?
Yeah, it's called business credit. But
Right.
like, I'm just going to add to what Oscar was saying. You listen, they're going to say to you, if you don't have business credit score and you don't know your options, you're just going to go, okay, I'll guarantee it. They'll say, oh, you have to guarantee that. What if you don't have good credit? Then you're beat. Now you can't do anything. So in the end of the day, on the business credit side, it keeps all your debt on your company. It doesn't show up on your personal credit score. So now if you do anything in your personal life, buy a house or, do any of those, get a car if you want to get it in your personal name, they're not going to see any of your other debt. Right. So that's the key to it. Plus, like Oscar said, expanding. Mm-hmm. It's nice to have different vendors that are going to give you credit, right, based on your business experience, which typically only really has to be 6 months to a year. They're not looking at much past that. They're really not looking at your revenue. When you want to show revenue or you want bigger line items like credit lines, then you're going to have to show some sort of, revenue. When I ask somebody how long they've been in business and they're like 5 years, and I ask, how many years, the last, let's just say 6 months, what do you show in deposits? And I'd show like 150 grand. That person is pretty solid, right? Mm-hmm. Then I'll ask them how many cars do they have in their business name, and they'll say, "What are you talking about?" Right? So they're not using their business credit; they're using a lot of the times their own personal credit. Which, listen, we all did it in the beginning, right? But as you go through your business career, there's a lot of stuff you can do on your business credit side, especially in the business credit world, because I don't want to say the word fluid, but it is fluid, because what is it? It's not constant. They keep adding, taking away, putting different product in, which is kind of cool. I mean, I get emails from a lot of these guys that I either do business with or just random people that, solicit me for business, and I check them out. You can have different lines of credit open. You can have different, advance payments based on invoices, accounts receivables, a bunch of different stuff. And if you're a business, a lot of times that might, either make or break you for a couple of weeks until certain things happen, or you're waiting on something. It's especially now with the uncertain time, and we're coming out of that, but especially the last couple of months and, last year. So, be prepared. They always, I love the expression, when you're looking for an umbrella when it's raining, it's very tough to find one, right? So same thing with money. Nobody wants to give you money when you need it. They want to give you money when you're good, right? You have maybe money in the bank and you've done some things on the business credit side. That's when you want to prepare yourself, especially if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner. You never know what kind of opportunities pop up. At least for me, I always want to have some sort of extra liquidity that, I get approached a lot of times by different ideas, and I love ideas. I love to help build, business credit and personal credit, help you build other things that you want to do for your life, whether it's a better interest rate, a lower payment, certain things. It gives you the ability to, go on vacation, if you're saving money, or whatever you want to do. For me, it's continue to grow the business, companies that we kind of assist in either, I don't want to say influencing, but helping and consulting with, or owning a piece of them.
Mm-hmm. What about buying property? Can you do that with your business?
You can. Yep. You can also do that in your LLC. A lot of times, again, stipulations a little different on how much you have to put down, and the rates might be a little higher, but you can do it in LLCs. I mean, a lot of guys set up LLCs just to buy specific properties, right? They have different investment properties or different construction buildings, whatever they're doing in that specific LLC. So, I'm not an accountant and I don't know that much about the laws behind it, but for limited liabilities, that's why they're doing it. If somebody, gets hurt in that building, they can't come after all the other buildings, and
right,
so forth. And, but yes, you can do that. And banks on that side change up too. So, the business credit side is not like consumer, but personal. But personal changes up too. Not as often, but You know, you have different things based on your FICO score where you can put less money down. You can get a better rate. You can get, you know, certain things that change all the time. And a lot of it, I'd say almost all of it is tied to your credit score.
So what I'm hearing from you is a lot of business people don't know this information. So they're bleeding out money that could be better put to use by, like you said, getting a car under the business name rather than your personal. And all these little tricks, and again, it's like talking to an accountant that says, hey, you know, you have this tax deduction, that you don't know if you try to do like a TurboTax. So again, talking to the professional puts money back in your pocket.
Always.
You know, again, if you're a business owner, depending on who's watching, you want to have options, right? You never know what happens in business. And if you're not looking, you know, not next week, if you're not looking 3 months, 6 months, a year out based on growth and what you want to do, maybe you want to retire, that's cool, but sell the company that has business credit, have it set up right. And again, just like I said before, and I don't know if I repeated myself, like a doctor, I need to see the report, and you can pull a report. It's simple. Name of the company, city, state, tax ID, yes, but not really. And that's it. You pull a report. We can pull a report for you. Once you get a report, I'd say 95% of the time, there's nothing there. A couple times, 2 or 3%, there's stuff there that might be bad. And the other time, someone's got credit. And they go, yeah, I went through a program 4 or 5 years ago. And okay, great. The thing about business credit too, just like personal, but not on the business side, it's a little more relevant. You have to use your lines. If you don't use them, they don't report, and your score will drop big time. On the personal side, it doesn't get affected so much. You just don't want to you want to use your cards that you have open just so they don't close them.
Oh, nice.
So who would be your best client? What in the 1 employee to 100 employees to 1,000 employees? What is your sweet spot?
You'd be amazed, but I'd say 1 to probably 50, 100.
Right.
I mean, I've called on places that, you know, were banks that had 30 branches. I pulled their corporate business credit report, and I think I got somebody in trouble because they didn't pay. They had some business credit, but it wasn't good because one of their vendors, they were paying late.
Oh, wow.
Whoever was in accounting, and I'm not saying it was their fault, but they didn't even know that they were paying it late. They were just sending back, whenever I guess the bill got to a certain amount, they're like, well, we only spent $55 with, let's just say if it was an office, I don't know which one, I don't remember what store it was, but it was office supplies, and it would be like $50, $250, and they would just let it build up and send it, 45 days or 60 days. Well, that was killing their score.
Yeah.
So
wow. And
but primarily 1 to 100 is pretty good. But then again, if you're any kind of business, unless you're IBM, Amazon, any of those crazy big companies, if you're not a publicly traded company, why not pull a report? You can see what's on there. A lot of times we find UCC filings, which is, they filed for something in equipment, or if they bought the business, or there might be other multiple names on there of owners. We've had that happen before, and the person's been out of the picture for 10 years. So, again, that's free. There's no cost in pulling a business credit report. So I tell everybody, get a business credit report. Even if you don't plan on doing anything on the business credit side, at least, think about your exit. What are you going to do when you get rid of, when I don't want to say get rid of, but when you sell your company or you give to somebody,
Right.
Yeah. The
when
reason
it
I
comes
asked
time to
you,
turn it over.
Yep.
The reason I asked you that was, that's my sweet spot also, because I noticed that small business owners under 100 employees don't have the resources, don't have the money, they can't hire the specialist in-house. I mean, you have an IT guy, but you don't have a cybersecurity IT guy. You have your accountant, but you don't have the big bookkeeping system that you need. The small business owner is wearing all the hats.
Yep.
And they don't have the money to just invest in everything. So they get caught in the middle, and those are the ones that got really screwed during COVID because they didn't have the resources to figure out what to do. And I'll go back to saying the same. Just hire the experts to get you where you need to be.
That's awesome. That is the truth. Now, everyone, again, his Eric's number is in the description of the video. So, you know, don't be afraid to give him a call, ask, or text. Sorry, text him and get some information right away. Especially if you're a small business, you have your own business, you have your own tax ID number, and you want to find out, you know, if you have established any business credit. So please give Eric a call, as his number is right there. Now, there's one more thing I want to feature for you on you, Eric, and I think it's amazing because there's something called COVID weight. And I know that there are a couple thousand people out there that have gained at least an extra 15 to 20 pounds. You know, they call it COVID 20 because it's 20 pounds extra after all this time, kind of like having Zoom calls. So you have an app that can help us kind of monitor that and really work on that. Tell us a little bit about it.
Very cool. Very cool. So I've always been passionate about fitness and just activity. You know, I just, since I was probably, you know, I don't know, first day I was born, I was probably crazy. So, you know, it starts, I'll tell
running after you.
I'll tell the backstory of how this started and how COVID, because it's meant for, you know, people that put on weight during COVID, but it's also meant for people that just don't move around all day, and just to be more active. You know, I watch CNBC a lot, right? And a lot of the commercials there, because depending on their audience, is pharmaceuticals, right? So I'm sure you guys heard it. There's a commercial where there's a dude sitting in a rocking chair and it says, "A body in motion stays in motion." Right. Yes. So it always sits with me that, if you sit around too long, you're not doing yourself justice. If you don't work out every day, or, you know, at least get some sort of movement in every day, you're just missing out. You know, there's no argument to it. Just, you know, unless you want to live super, you want to live extreme, or you want to live average. I want to be at that extreme level. How do I get there? Well, I keep moving all day. I just feel good. Right. And I've always wanted to push somebody else to do that with me, or to get somebody to do that, to feel what I feel. Right. So I came back 4 years ago, or 5 years ago now, from a trip to California, and it was the red eye. And one of my employees was sitting at his desk. It was 9:30, and I'll do it for you. He was sitting like this. It was like 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And I walked up behind him and I said, "What's the matter? Will you stay up? You couldn't sleep?" Because rough night. I didn't sleep well. I'm tired. I said, "I'm going to show you something." And he said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Just give me 25 jumping jacks." Almost as a joke. And he said, "I'm not going to do 25 jumping jacks." I said, "All right." I went to my office, and about an hour later, he came in and he goes, "I feel so much better." I said, "What'd you do?" And he goes, "I did 25 jumping jacks." I go, "Get out of here. You did 25 jumping jacks?" He goes, "Yeah, I just didn't want to do them in front of you." I go, "Oh, okay. Well, that's cool." I go, "I'm going to text you every day an exercise to do for 1 minute." And that's how I kind of thought of it, right? I said, 1 minute. All you gotta do is 1 minute. I don't care how many jump jacks. I said 25, but just do it straight for a minute. You can do very slow. You can do it at any pace. Just keep track of it. And that's kind of what started into the app that I now call 1 Minute Before. It started with simple texting to one of my employees. I said, "I'm going to put this in a simple system that will text automatically," because now I had a couple other employees say, "Hey, we want text us too." So I was doing great group text. And I said, "You know what, this would be awesome to be able to do, you know, in an app." So notification, because what ended up happening, I said to myself, wow, if this catches on and I got to text everybody, it's going to cost me money, because every text that I was sending out wasn't on my phone. I was doing it through a system that charged me, you know, less than a penny, but still the numbers added up, or it had to do it every day. I'm like, wow. So anyway, it became an app, because notifications and apps are free. I then, you know, just for the last, it's a long story from 4 years ago, but if you've ever built an app before, it's not like a website. There's a lot of phones out there. There's a lot of different operating systems in different versions. So it took a while. I had it where I kind of liked it, but it still wasn't functioning right. The programmer where I was doing it, I overseed it, overseas it, right? Or I guess it was overseas. It was woo-woo on that one. And the guy just at the end of the day couldn't get it right. And I said, "Okay, just send me the code." And he wouldn't send me the code. He wanted money. It was almost like I felt like I got ransomware before ransomware was ransomware. And I just said, "You know what? cash flow wasn't what he wanted. And I said, nah, whatever, bro. Thanks a lot. COVID hits.
Count you lost.
And I, immediately said, wow, I wish I had this app. And this is right in March of last year when I said, man, my app would be awesome now because no one was working out. Gyms were closed. I was putting on weight. I didn't do anything for probably the first time in 51 years. I didn't work out in probably 2 months, right? From March to like May, I didn't do anything. I think a lot of people were in that like, oh my God, what kind of mode it was. But during that time frame, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to get the app going again. I reached out to the guy. He was still around. And instead of a big amount of money that he wanted back in the day, he gave it to me kind of as a much cheaper version. It was like 90% less than what he originally wanted. I got the code, we built it. And it was meant for it's meant for the consumer, right? What happens is every hour you get an alert on your phone as a notification. It's going to tell you one exercise, not tell you, it's going to give you a video demonstration of it for about 10 to 15 seconds of what you're going to do. No weight, all body weight. You don't have to get on the floor if you're at your home or at your office unless you want to. There's different versions, but most people don't want to get, at least in their office, on the rug and do anything. So I kind of kept it where everything was on your feet or you're on your desk. And then you get to track it. So the clock counts backwards. If 60 seconds later, it asks how many you did, and it keeps track of it on a cool little calendar. You also get what I call 1 MB for 1 minute before. You get a coin, and the coins are valued for a bunch of different things. It's not tied to crypto yet, but that's coming next. For every coin you got, we're gonna somehow turn it into Bitcoin. But for now, I didn't have the coin aspect of it. I did it for the consumer first, so you could download it, you could just do it. And I said, you know what would be great because our office was doing it. We were having fun with it. I said, every office should have one of these. Just built the little corporate wellness program, right? So you have to set up a program specific for that company, which we did. The logos for the company, even the exercises, everything they want to do, we can kind of tailor it to them if they want to use their own people in the videos to do the demos. But what was cool was I'd say most people that start within 2 weeks, they double what they started with. And I always hear people say, I mean, I work out, I don't do my own app. I do it, just to test it. I work out early in the morning, and I've always tried to convince people to go to the gym early in the morning. This way it's out of the way. No one's bothering you. No one's texting you. You're not missing anything important where you have to go check your phone and get out of focus because, you work out later and it becomes your day's going. And then you're not thinking about what you're physically there to do is, get to the next level or to turn it up when you're working out. Everybody likes that pump, I would think, right? If they don't, then they're not working out with the right trainer or they're not doing the exercises correctly. But anyway, I always hear, and you guys too, I don't know where to start.
Yeah, I'll give you a testimonial. I downloaded the app, and the first exercise was table push-ups, which is like, I can do push-ups on the floor. I was in gymnastics, and like table push-ups. All right, fine. This goofy thing. Did a minute, did 35. I'm like, see, no sweat. Next day, I'm like, feeling it. And I'm like, damn, like I'm that out of shape that I did 35 stupid.
35 is a good. 35 is a good number. That's not a bad number.
But it's on a table.
On average, people do less than 20 of that. But what's cool is that 20 becomes 40 within 2 weeks. Right. Think about something as simple as calf raises. Just go like this, right? At the end of the day, I'm telling you, a minute. The first time I did it, I couldn't do it for a minute. I had to pause. I'm like, oh my God. So I've always heard, I don't know where to start. Well, start with 9 minutes a day. There's 1,400. There's 1,440 minutes in a day. So there's no excuse if I don't have time to do it. I'm in meetings and Zooms. Well, there's a pause button. So just hit pause. Go back. It has all the missed exercises and just do it for yourself and see how you feel, right? What we found is people that start, they either end up going for more stuff. They walk more, they run more, they go to a gym, or they pay attention to their diet. So, we white labeled it now. I'm in about 20 different businesses. My big goal, and I think we have a big call on Friday, is to have an insurance company, your insurance company, pay you to do it. So we laugh about the coins. I put the coins there for, time off, where a company could look at the end of the day and say, oh, Oscar did 200, he has 200 coins in his account that associates to a minute that he gets off. Well, someone gave me 3 hours off just to do an app for 9. First of all, I'm getting 9 minutes off every day if I do the exercise, right? Probably another minute after that because I'm going to, come back to work. I tell you what, though, your productivity is so much more intense that I as an employer would give it to you. I give you 18 minutes to take off every day if you did it. I suggest everybody go outside. It's hot today, but go for a walk around the building. Come back.
And what people don't realize is your lymph system needs for you to move to actually clean out your body.
Wow.
The lymph
Yeah.
system doesn't have
Yeah.
a pump. So
Yeah.
we've been sitting in front of a Zoom for the better part of a year. And that, if you don't get up and that 1 minute of just any kind of movement, the lymph system goes, okay, we got to move and we got to, replenish what we're doing. But
they say, listen, there's statistics now on, they call it chair disease.
Yeah.
It's worse than smoking a pack of cigarettes, which I can't even imagine, but that's what's quoted. I have a 39-year-old that's on the product now. I can't wait to get his testimonial, but he's 39. He's been an internet, guru for probably 20 years. He sits in front of his computer, doesn't really work out, never really would even know what a workout is. I laugh when, not when I meet him, but I try to do that to everybody. I always try to poke people and joke around and say, oh, come on, man, what's up? You gotta get moving. But he is now on that because he has got problems with his legs. Like his circulation at 39 is terrible.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, ever since I started working from home, which I like you, this is what you're looking at is what I call my COVID idea. This was, all of us just didn't have much else to do. And so we all got together and said, let's do this. What a great idea. And, it's just really started taking off from there. But I realized that since I started doing that, my thigh muscles started getting weaker because I used to play soccer, man. I mean, my thighs and my calves were like, boom, solid. And, I've always been active. A lot of things I've done, I've always been, moving, working out. Before COVID, I was working out twice a day. I was working out in the morning and I worked out at night, in the evening after I'd just go to the gym, boom. And COVID hit and I was like, oh man. And so I started gaining all this weight. I mean, none of my suits fit. I love my suit. I love suits. None of my suits fit. I'm in joggers and sneakers and, polo shirts. And nothing started.
Stretchy jeans, so you never knew how big you really got. I was wearing those for about in those 2 months time frame, and even 3 months. But I think it was like 2.5 months. I didn't do anything, and I didn't even know, right? Like just everybody else. And I went to put on a suit I think I went to a wake the first time, right? Which wasn't a good thing anyway. And I'm like, holy shnikes, my belt was on the last loop of the belt. I'm like 3 back here was normal. I'm like, holy smokes. So, but anyway,
but I mean, it's scary when you start really trying to put your stuff back on and you're realizing none of these outfits are working for me anymore. And
what the problem, and here's the problem about what it is. You're in your house and you have food in your house, not like at the office where you don't have all the shit where you can go get up and go eat. I said a bad word. Sorry. All the stuff
right.
That you can just constantly eat. Right.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I do eat a little bit less now than when COVID first started, because I had access. And so I'd eat a snack and another snack, then lunch, then another snack and another snack. And, now my wife is like, did you drink water today? Like, sure I did. I drank 2 bottles. Yeah. She's like, nope, you need to. And
you gotta electrify the door handle to the refrigerator to shut off in 10-minute intervals every 2 hours. Here's the physics.
I'm not the refrigerator. Mine's the like cabinet door where all the candy and chocolate and chips and all the other. Ugh. But I've been good for this will be week 3 where I'm not cheating during nighttime.
But here's the problem. And we can go talk to Karen about this. Muscle eats fat. It's alive. So it eats. So now you're not moving. Your muscle is deteriorating. And one quick way to see that is anyone who's ever had a broken arm. I mean, you're in a cast for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Take that cast off, and you haven't moved, and like the muscle mass is like half.
Right. Yeah. It starts to mush. What is that?
Fear of sitting and not moving and not exercising and not playing soccer and not lifting a weight, this is not lifting a weight, but you're a year of that and you're like, well, how did I gain 20, 30 pounds? Like, your muscles deteriorating. There's nothing eating the fat. You're putting on more fat because you're not moving and you're eating more. So it's this perfect storm.
Absolutely.
So this 1 minute every hour is no, I'll tell you the truth. It's annoying to have that alarm go off. And I'm like, but the other thing is, like, an hour just went by.
Right.
What did I do in that hour? So it's a really good measure of, what did you do this last hour? Because the time goes by and I'm like, already? I just did this 5 minutes ago. It's like, no, here's your next exercise. And then I'm starting thinking, I got to make every hour productive, because that alarm's going to be going off. And that's going to be Eric going, hey, what'd you do this hour? I mean, you got to move, but
we can customize your app to maybe have your voice and say that to yourself.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool.
Time to get each program we can it's white labeled. You can put whatever program you want in there. So I've had a lot of fun with it. I built it, now for like-minded CEOs and owners of HR. I would say owners of HR, but HR people that run that run the business for their companies, to really think and have fun with it. Because listen, like Oscar said, it's every hour. It's only 9 minutes. It's not difficult. It's difficult to stop from doing what you're doing sometimes to do it, but that's just a habit. And what ends up happening, like I said, in 2 weeks, you start to see results in 2 weeks. And what I mean by results, you'll feel whether you have a little stomach, or you might even feel, like Oscar said, you did the push-up. Funny story, my partner, when we were doing the demo with it, he really doesn't work out. He's 85% of America that doesn't work out. Think of that crazy number. If they only knew how great they could feel, if 5% of them do it for us, that's it. That's all I want. It's my legacy. I'm gonna, I'm not Jackie Lane, but I can make it so that you can do it for 9 minutes. You can't give me. I love excuses, right? Because most of the time an excuse comes in. This one, you don't have an excuse. There, no matter what you say to me, there's not 9 minutes in and if you don't have 9 minutes, then I don't know what you're doing. And maybe you're 24 straight on at some computer lab where you're a nuclear code or something. I couldn't even imagine, right? Or you're driving.
I'm not there. It is going to
you're driving across the country in 24 hours and you're doing one of those Le Mans races. Maybe then you can't do it, but shit, those guys get a lot of exercise. But back to my partner who's doing it, he did just like you. He ended up doing 20 push-ups. And I tell you what, when at the end, I was watching him because we didn't have the clock yet. So I was kind of doing it. And with, maybe 10, 15 seconds left, he was, the next day we're sitting there, we share an office. He's at the one side of it. And he's complaining. He's like, bro, what? And we're both like, I wonder what you did when you go home. What'd you do last night? And then all of a sudden we both had that light bulb moment, because holy smokes, that's from doing 20 push-ups. I'm so out of shape. It's ridiculous. And I said, this is all I said to him. Listen, I don't care about you. I do. You're my partner, but you got a kid. So what's your, excuse to not do 9 minutes? We know it works. We know it's better to do things than not sit at your desk all day. How can you argue with yourself unless you're just straight? I don't know. So anyway, have fun with it. It's meant to make it so that it's simple, no excuses, and for you to see results and then go to the gym, eat better, and live a better life. Just like everything else with credit. Listen, your life gets better if you got credit. We know that.
Yeah, I renamed, everybody calls their bathroom John. I renamed it JIM Gym. So I tell everybody, as soon as I get up in the morning, I hit that gym. They go, really? I'm like, yeah, every day. And they're really proud of me.
You'll thank me, Oscar. Come on. Another month go by. You'll see.
So Eric, before we go, because we are definitely running close to time, okay. Where can they find this app? And
so if you go to either store, right? If you go to the app, your Apple store, or if you go to the Android store, on your Google phone or whatever phone you are on Android, I think, right? Just type in 1 minute before, no space required, straight out word, 1 minute before. You can also text 1 MB to 71441. That's the number, 71441. The message is 1 MB, and it'll send back the link so you can download it. Just register. When you go to register, type in, there it is. You're going to put in a company code, which is 1MB. That's just the generic one. You could also put in BQ for better qualified. That's a different one. That's my partner showing you the program and some different exercises. But if you are a company owner, or if you're an HR person and you want one for your own company, simple setup. Usually takes a couple hours and you're live. If you want to make customized videos for your exercises, that will take a little more time, but you can upload everything yourself. The admin portal of the side of the app, you can control it. You can give away coins. You can take away coins. You can notify everybody in the company for one click of a button, which is pretty cool too. And let's have some fun. That's where you get it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric, for sharing all the information that you have. Again, if you are watching this program and you'd like to reach out to Eric, his information is in the description of the video. So, so you can get more information and download the app. Okay, it's time for us to get in shape. Summer is here. Some of us are looking for a six-pack. Let's go for it.
I got a cake right here. I don't need that six-pack.
He wants 2 6-packs, the ones he can hold in his hands.
By the way, we know that round is still a shape, but we still want to get healthy, right? And we just really appreciate it. And Oscar, you rock, of course. And we'll see you guys again next week with Focus on You. We're going to have Ransom on the line, and he's going to be talking about the dysfunction of Iron Man. We're studying different superheroes and their dysfunctions. So I think that would be awesome, because we all know Iron Man has a few mental health issues. So again, we'll see you guys again next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me, guys.